All right, good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. If you would join us in the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please pray with me if you'd like to. Dear Lord, we gather this evening with gratitude for the opportunity to serve and for the trust our community has placed in us. As this board turns to the work before it, we ask for your guidance, wisdom, and steady judgment. Lord, remind us that true leadership is grounded in service, thoughtful dialogue, and mutual respect. Help us listen with open minds, work together with patience, and make decisions guided by fairness, compassion, and integrity. Bless this board, our dedicated staff, and all the residents of St. Lucie County. May our efforts help build a community defined by unity, opportunity, and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, is there an approval of the agenda?
Motion for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. No presentations. Go ahead and open it up to general public comment. All those wishing to address the board. Hi, good evening.
Hi. Most of you guys already know me. My name's Cody Brown. I'm not going to disclose my address. This is protected from my profession. This is not going to be a nice encounter. I'm going to start with just a little phrase from President Ronald Reagan. In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem. My presence here tonight is to the people of St. Lucie County, is to stand up and vote this board out of their seats as they have continued to fail you as a county, starting with the county administrator, who is overpriced at over $220,000 of our tax dollars, who has zero experience in the role that he holds today prior to his appointment, or any of his backdoor deals in his medical facilities, or the blackmailing that he's done to our commissioners. As it comes to the commissioners and the failure of our commissioners, we'll start with Larry Lee. If you ask him, he has revitalized the airport and brought money back to our county. And the reality is, he's never visited the airport and knows nothing beyond the Tiki restaurant. And as for the county, he knows nothing more about this county than the St. Lucie Draft House. It would help if he actually shows up to work and not just for his happy hour. But, Mr. Lee, I am happy that you at least showed up with the itinerary of tonight's agenda in your hand and nothing more. As for Jamie, I actually like you, Jamie. There's not much that I can really say bad about you. The only thing that I'm not pleased with is that it took you a year to move into your district. That is one thing or the other. The only thing I don't like about that is the pick and choosing that we did, because we all know it only took Erin to get a complaint a month into moving from her district. So the double standard is astonishing on this district, or on this board. And then there's Erin and James. I say both of you guys together because there's nothing you guys don't do together. You're a walking sunshine violation. Erin, your hair looks beautiful tonight. I hope you didn't do that on county time, because it's no surprise that you like to do cosmetic care on county time and not show up for work. As for the people of St. Lucie, I ask that you public record request her agenda and hold her accountable, because she does not care about you. She cares about the free meals she's receiving and the REC, whatever the REC goes. Every member on this board only will run for the party affiliation that will get them elected. Before I leave this county, every person needs to know the poor performance of this board. James, I thought you and I had a pretty good start to begin with, but in reality, you didn't like me and talk crap just because you wanted to be the youngest commissioner. But in reality now, it's no secret you know nothing that's going on this board, and you're going to end up getting this county in a bigger lawsuit than you already have. I really ask this county to stand up, do the job. They all make over 6 figures. You can support your family. Run for office and get them out of here if you want the county to do better. It's all in your hands. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great night.
You too. We're still under public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board? You can come up right here to the podium, sir. If you could, state your first and last name and address for the secretary.
Okay. My name is Alfred Hernandez, and both me and my wife own a property, and it's under Edna Tarantino. Our address, property is 1407-341-0025-001. Our family lives in Florida, and we purchased a piece of property on Treetop. We do our due diligence. Everything seemed to be fine. We purchased it from an attorney, title company. We had the land cleared, had the turtle research, made sure that it was under code. Had some dirt brought in, used a local builder to build. At the time that we've already picked the colors and style, they said the property was unbuildable. There's homes in front of it, beside it, has the road frontage, has all the perimeters, but due to a 40-year-old law, which is a Muni Code from July 1st, 1984, it states that any three properties joining together and not separated in a singular format is unbuildable. So the one that's behind us, the one that's beside us, yet meets all the requirements by the county, cannot be built. We're having a hardship because we want to be together with our grandkids and our children, and yet we proceeded with all these funds, and yet we're unable to build. Kathy Townsend, unfortunately she's not here today, she understands this, and she says she's willing to sign off on it, but she needs two more of the commissioners. So I'm asking you, Larry, Jamie, Aaron, and James, would you please get together with her? It's an old law, it meets all the requirements, it's just a law that I don't quite understand. So I'm asking if you guys could get this together, and you'll probably see me here again, and I'd like to have this resolved. That's it.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Is, George, are you or any of the planning staff familiar with this gentleman or his situation by chance?
Not off the top of our head. We'd have to look into his address. I think he gave a plot number and some other, some instead of an actual physical address, and we'll look. I don't know if we'll research it and can reach out to him and try to see if we can help, bring some context to the conversation.
One of the things, Mr. Hernandez, I know you have Corey right there, but and we typically don't address public comment, but because it goes to process, I do want to speak to it. So if you've spoken to Commissioner Townsend and this is something she supported, then typically what the procedure is then she gets with admin and something gets brought forward to the rest of us commissioners. That's not happened. So the question is, why hasn't that gotten brought forward as something for us to vote on? So this is not the format, but you have Corey right next to you, Corey Benton, and he will help you through this process. And because we are at large, feel free to contact me or any of these other commissioners up here in regards to your issue.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Clasby.
I'm going to have my aide give you one of my cards as well. I'd like to know a little bit more information myself.
Okay, we are still under public comment. Anyone else wishing to address the board under general public comment? Seeing none, I'm going to close the general public comment, come back to the board. And with that, is there approval of the minutes for January 13th, both informal and regular?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, consent agenda. Anyone wishing to pull anything? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Motion a second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you. That brings us into public hearings and moving into the Pruitt Commerce Center. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Hi, Irene.
Good evening.
Good
You always
evening.
get to public hearings faster than I expect.
I know, right?
Good
Government
evening.
efficiency.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the Board of County Commissioners, Irene Settlemeyer, Senior Planner with the Planning and Development Services Department. This is the transmittal public hearing on the requested future land use map amendment for the Pruitt Commerce Center. This public hearing was properly noticed by sign on the property, mailed notice to all owners of property within 500 feet,
and publication in the newspaper. We received one letter supporting the changes, and it's in your agenda packet. Additionally, staff had some emailed correspondence with a couple property owners who have also expressed support for the project and lobbied for good landscaping along the southern boundary. The subject site is about 160 acres, about a half a mile south of Orange Avenue, just about a mile north of Orange Avenue. As you know, this majority of the site, the 100 acres, is currently owned by St. Lucie County, and the applicant is within an option agreement with the county to purchase it. The smaller parcel down here was acquired by the applicant from the St. Lucie County School District. The property is inside the urban services boundary. It was inside the urban services boundary prior to the expansion of that area a couple of years ago. Again, the subject site, the green area is the city of Fort Pierce. The property is in the city of Fort Pierce utility service area. So when at some point it will be annexed into the city of Fort Pierce. You can see the really good location for access to the state roadway system. Here's the turnpike, interchange for 95, interchange for the turnpike, and at Orange also an interchange for 95. The current future land use is they have two future land use designations: residential suburban, the green area, which allows for residential development of up to 2 dwelling units an acre, and the special district future land use, which is related to the Treasure Coast Educational and Research Park that sought to facilitate economic development through education and research and employment around the agricultural sector. The proposed future land use is MXD, mixed use development, consistent with the future land use to the north and the future land use around the I-95 and Orange Avenue interchange. The existing zoning is AR1, Agricultural Research 1, which provides for 1 dwelling unit per acre and requires a minimum lot area of 1 acre. Pursuant to the MXD, rezoning will be required to the planned non-residential development district. The mixed-use future land use designation is intended where innovative land use concepts are encouraged and where traditional land use classifications do not afford the desired flexibility and community input in land use planning necessary to address local concerns. And in this case, the rezoning to PNRD, as opposed to, for example, rezoning to light industrial, PNRD does provide more input from the community, from staff, from the board of county commissioners than would straight industrial light zoning. This is some of the development in the area. The orange is some Fort Pierce residential development, some which is just approved and not yet developed, some like Bent Creek, which is just finishing out, building out, Celebration Point, finishing, building out. The green is some industrial sites in the city of in unincorporated St. Lucie County. This is the Fort Pierce Commerce Center that recently had a future land use map amendment transmittal hearing approved. Thank you, Corey. South Florida Logistics, which was the site damaged by the tornado recently. Here's the current site. Anyway, Fort Pierce has some industrial sites that have been approved for development. We have in the county some larger residential sites north of Orange Avenue. The close-up of that same illustration. You can see that there's a limited roadway network. Rock Road goes up part of the way from Orange Avenue and then stops. It comes down a little bit there. Kings Highway, those intersections with Okeechobee and Orange Avenue are expected to be quite busy. Graham Road is an important roadway in the area because it crosses 95. And, so between Okeechobee and Orange, we only have Graham crossing 95. And similarly, Pecos, nope, it's not, okay, sorry, here's Pecos. Pecos crosses the Turnpike. There's not a lot of crossing of the Turnpike between Orange and Okeechobee. Those issues can be addressed at site plan. The traffic impacts snapshot, which assumes the maximum permissible development, it will produce 5,491 daily trips that are in excess of what would have been generated, for example, if it was developed as residential and special district. It'll create almost 12,000 trips a day. That's about 5,500 more than what the current future land use provides. The trip distribution, not surprisingly, 98% of the trips will be to Kings Highway. Only 2% are expected to go out to Pecos Road. Interestingly, only 10% are assigned, maybe 10% north on the Turnpike and 10% south on the Turnpike, and only 13% assigned to I-95. So the trips will be on our local roadway network. Future land use designations in the MXD. Future land use may be accompanied by sub-area policies. In this case, this is a summary of the policies that are included in full in the agenda packet. So the intent of this district is the development of superior quality industrial development, primarily designed to accommodate and promote targeted industries and employment-generating uses. All development shall occur through the planned non-residential development zoning district. As you know, the planned non-residential development zoning district requires a preliminary development plan to accompany the request for rezoning. It goes to the Planning and Zoning Commission for their review and recommendation before coming back to the board. The development on this site will have to comply with transportation concurrency or meet transportation concurrency. Pruitt Commerce Center shall be subject to the county's transportation concurrency requirements and shall provide sufficient access, capacity, circulation, and connectivity needed by the development. Traffic generated by the Commerce Center that exceeds the adopted level of service shall be mitigated through a schedule of committed roadway construction projects, payments, or legally available alternatives. The timing and sequence of any such construction payments or alternatives shall be tied to specific development thresholds and determined during the planned non-residential development review. Transportation impacts reports will evaluate reasonable transportation improvements necessary to maintain the adopted level of service standards, including consideration of roadway connectivity and circulation within the surrounding transportation network, which may include roadway segments such as Graham, Pecos, and Rock Roads. The determination of whether any transportation improvements are required and the timing sequence and any proportional responsibility for such measures shall be made during the planned non-residential development review based on the traffic impact report, state law, county code, and the comprehensive plan. Prior to approval of the final planned non-residential site plan, the applicant shall provide legally sufficient and enforceable assurances in a form acceptable to the county attorney to address transportation concurrency, any transportation improvements, payments, or legally available alternatives. And in coordination with the St. Lucie County Area Regional Transit, Pruitt Commerce Center shall identify the potential locations of future transit stops to serve the subject site. and shall provide for internal connectivity for pedestrian and bicycle travel. So additional sub-area policies establishing the development standards. The maximum floor area ratio is 0.35. Maximum coverage by buildings is 35%. The minimum open space is 25%. And the Commerce Center shall provide appropriate buffer zone to properly protect adjacent non-industrial uses. On January 15th, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing and voted unanimously to recommend approval to the Board of County Commissioners. Staff's recommendation is that the board approve the transmittal of the Pruitt Commerce Center future land use map amendment to the state and regional reviewing agencies. It will come back to you if you determine to transmit. It will come back to you for adoption. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any question. Of course, the applicant is here and has a presentation as well.
Perfect. If there's no questions from the board, I'll go ahead and have the applicant come up. All right, we're ready for you. Good evening.
Good evening, Chair Fowler, members of the County Commission. My name is Leslie Olson, representing Ashley Capital. So pleased to be here tonight. We're very, very excited to be at this stage of this collaboration with the county, between Ashley Capital and the county. Staff has done a great job going through everything. Do you have my PowerPoint
From the,
that I sent? No. Okay.
when did you send it, Leslie?
Last.
It might be in the agenda background. If it is, we can have it pulled up.
Yeah.
I don't know what you said. I don't.
We need to get some hold music.
If you'd like to just pull up the one for the Planning and Zoning Commission, I did not change it, except to say that we're here at the Board of County Commissioners on this day.
Yeah. Excellent. I apologize.
Oh,
I don't
no
remember
problem.
seeing it.
No problem. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Corey.
While we're doing this, I just want to say thank you to ERD and to Eric Gill, who are doing the walks, the nature walks in the preserves. Eric taught us how to do disc golf a couple weeks ago during one of those. So many thanks to county staff. That was super fun. Okay, so back to Ashley Capital and the Pruitt Commerce Center. So thanks, and I want to just acknowledge the team that we have here today. We have our engineering team, Kimley Horn. We have our legal representation, Dean Mead, with Lee Dobbins. And we also, of course, have Jill Marassa and Ryan Bloss with Ashley Capital. Rick Morton would be here, but he is on vacation with his family, so can't be here tonight, but he'll be here the next time. So this is our first public hearing before you. Staff has done a great job going through everything, so I don't need to do a whole lot to walk you through it. But it's important to know, as Irene mentioned, that this is an outcome of the county's RFP to engage these properties around Caserta, to kick Caserta off in its development and in its success. And so Project Vision was created in order to create the first Class A Commerce Park in St. Lucie County, unincorporated St. Lucie County. So this is a really big step to create both high-quality jobs and a beautiful built environment. Now, Ryan Bloss is going to come up with Ashley Capital to tell you a little bit about the company.
Thank you, Leslie. Again, I'm Ryan Bloss. I'm the Director of Leasing of the Treasure Coast for Ashley Capital. So Ashley Capital was founded in 1984. One of the founders was a gentleman you've all met, Rick Morton. And since that time has grown into one of the largest privately held industrial real estate companies in the country. Ashley Capital focuses on both greenfield and brownfield properties. The one that we're discussing here tonight is what we'd classify as a greenfield property. If you take a piece of property that is undeveloped, go through, if we have to, a similar process like we're here tonight, and then ultimately develop industrial product. Brownfield takes typically contaminated sites or something that's already been developed. If you Google Ashley Capital, you'll actually see a recent brownfield that we're developing in Flint, Michigan, which is the old Buick City site. So we're proud of that. I should say that Ashley, we do focus on industrial. I would say through the years, 99% of what we do is industrial real estate. We have dabbled in small office projects, but for the most part, we stick to industrial. It's our bread and butter. It's what we do. Currently, we have over 32 million square feet in 6 states. Well, really 5 states, but Florida is our 6th state. So that's over 65 buildings. So it's Florida, Georgia, Michigan, Tennessee, Virginia, and Wisconsin. And we're proud to say that we've received top 20 recognition from publications such as Commercial Property Executive and real estate journals for our property management. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Leslie.
Thank you.
Now Jill Marassa, who you all know as well, is going to come up and tell you a little bit about the history of TSRTA.
Good evening, Commissioners. We cannot express how excited we are to be here today. I woke up, I'm so giddy to be before you. I've waited over 5 years to stand here with this project. So thank you so much for the team for working with us and dealing with me. And yeah, we're excited to move this forward. So we thought we'd take a moment to just go back in time of where we started and how Ashley Capital actually wound up here before you this evening. This property, TSRTA, dates back to the early 1940s when the Indian River Field Laboratory sited on 80 acres of St. Lucie County-owned land. And the purpose for that was to do citrus research and agricultural research here on the Treasure Coast. And so fast forward a little bit, the North St. Lucie Canal Drainage District donated a large chunk of land before the Turnpike, if you go back that far. And so that sort of became the genesis of what TSRTA is today. Back in the 60s and forward, IREC, Indian River Field Laboratory, there have been a bunch of name changes. You all know it as UF and IFAS today. But through the years, they set up a lot of the buildings that are up there, a lot of the research and development that is standing there today. And then USDA joined them later on in 1995. So the history of this project has been research and agriculture over time, and there was a will and a desire to move it forward, but it seemed to stay stagnant over the many, many years. So in 2004, as you see on the chart there, St. Lucie County decided to start acquiring property within the TSRTA footprint to spur economic development. And so they've acquired 140 acres in total on the south side. They have some property on the north side, a small piece still remaining on the PICOS. And so they assembled this land with the hope that they can move that initiative forward. And then in addition to that, they established the TSRTA overlay, the Florida Statute 159, which is the Treasure Coast Education Research and Development Authority, which sort of set the footprint of what the development idea at the time would be in concert with the research that was established at that time. Continue to fast forward, St. Lucie County donated land to St. Lucie Public Schools for a potential future school site. That is the 60 acres that sits along the Kings Highway corridor, and I'll get to the ownership of that. And additionally, you continue to fast forward, and St. Lucie County continue to try to spur economic development by establishing the Sunshine Kitchen in 2018, a commissary to sort of help spur small business, agriculture, trades, and the like within the food incubator space. Do you have one? Oh, thanks. So how are we here today? In 2020, we met, at the time I was with the Economic Development Council, and Wes McCurry is here today. We met Mr. Morton, who had a really big interest in this region. He spent a lot of time researching the area and decided this is an Ashley Capital vision. This is an Ashley Capital area that he knew, with his experience and expertise, that he can make this vision come to a reality. And so a letter of interest was submitted to the county. Fast forward, there were requests for proposals. One was for the county property, one was for the school board property. We were one of two respondents to the school district property for the 60 acres. We were awarded that RFP, and we do own that 60 acres today, and that's the northeast quadrant in the red that you see along the highway there, Kings Highway. And then we were the lone respondent for the RFP for St. Lucie County, and we have been working with your team since that time. In 2024, we signed our option agreement, and in 2025, with our team, we came forward to start the development and land use process. And so that's how we got here today. On behalf of our team, we are committed to taking Project Vision and bringing it to life. We are committed to bringing forward what you've waited 70 years to see come to life. And so we look forward to being hopefully a good partner with you over the long term with a positive approval today to move it forward. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. So the proposed future land use, I'd just like to run through some highlights. It doesn't work right now. You can't do what the county wants to do with the future land use categories as they are. It's split between residential, suburban, and special district. So industrial future land use would work. But staff said, MXD is better. It's kind of like the planned development of future land use. It allows us to, kind of keep this going in the direction that we know we want to go in. Ashley Capital agreed and has applied for the MXD. The RFP acknowledges that the comp plan must be amended and the future land use must be amended in order for this to occur. And it's necessary to satisfy the goals of the county's RFP and the requirements of the contract between the county and Ashley Capital. There are changed conditions, which is one of the FLUMA standards. So the fact that there is an RFP is part of those changed conditions. Also, the Kings Highway Jobs Corridor study that is being done by the EDC right now shows that the development of this corridor is intended to be a job-creating corridor. This area is well within that study area. In addition, the Kings Highway corridor has been completed. It is, a divided 4-lane now. The site is within a mile of Orange and I-95, a mile and a half of the Turnpike, and about 2.25 miles to Okeechobee and I-95. The existing transportation infrastructure is fantastic. That's why somebody from a major real estate development company headquartered in Detroit came here and said, wow, this has potential. I want to be in St. Lucie County. Now we're going to have Stephanie Guerra with Kimley Horn come up and talk about transportation concurrency.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Guerra with Kimley Horn. I'm the transportation engineer on behalf of the applicant. And I just wanted to touch on the traffic analysis that we did as part of the future land use change. So the intention of this type of traffic study when we're looking at a future land use change is really to establish a maximum level of development. So what we looked at was a short range and a long range analysis. The short range being a 5-year build out, the long range being a 2045 horizon year. So for both of those, we contemplated a 35% lot coverage, which is up to 2.4 million square feet of industrial, which is far above what we would expect to develop on this property. So as part of that, the intention is really just to understand what the future capacity is on roadways. We considered other committed developments within the area as we were looking at future traffic volumes and developing that data. And then we determined that all significantly impacted roadway lengths would operate acceptably in the short and long range scenarios. And the county's third-party traffic consultant has reviewed that. Now, apart from this process, when we go through the rezoning analysis for the PNRD, we will provide a separate, more detailed roadway and intersection analysis, which will contemplate the actual plan of development that the applicant is going to propose so that we can get more into the details and look at any potential roadway improvements that will be required. So that will be the traffic concurrency that will be considered as part of that phase of development. And Ashley Capital has agreed to all of the sub-area policies regarding transportation concurrency. And I'll be available for any questions after the presentation. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Leslie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. So there are a couple comp plan policies that are important to note here. We have policy 1161 regarding development within the urban service boundary. It also is supported by policy 11131, which addresses the county's priority to assist in the recruitment of clean, high-growth industrial activities and maintain an expedited permitting process for bona fide economic development projects, especially those within the targeted industry list. This site is adjacent on its north to the same intensity future land use, which is MXD. The city of Fort Pierce parcels are also trending towards these industrial, flex industrial types of uses. And so the application meets this compatibility standard. In terms of an orderly and logical development pattern, this implements the requirements of the county's RFP to develop the subject property according to the county's long-range vision and consistent with the development pattern of the Kings Highway corridor in this area. It also continues the pattern of industrial being established along the corridor and fulfills the goals set forth in the Kings Highway Jobs Corridor Planning Initiative. Now we're going to have Lee Dobbins come forward and discuss the option agreement and our next steps.
Good evening.
Good evening.
For the record, Lee Dobbins with the Dean Mead Law Firm. So I'll bring this to a conclusion. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about the option agreement that you heard mentioned. So as both Joe and Leslie had explained, this project's a little bit different from your typical land development project because it is subject to the county RFP, and so the entire purpose of this is to implement the RFP. The vehicle for doing that was an option agreement. So after Ashley Capital won the RFP, we entered into an option agreement between Ashley Capital and the county, giving Ashley Capital an option to buy the property once certain conditions were met. The reason for that is there are a number of things that have to happen in order to make sure that both parties, both county and Ashley Capital, get what they need out of this transaction. So under the option agreement, there are certain obligations that are laid out. There are some obligations that the county had to do, and there's some obligations that Ashley Capital has to do. You may recall that we were before the board about a year ago with respect to some of those county obligations. Those have been addressed now. Those were primarily dealing with what we call the TSERTA layers. There are several layers of regulation relating to TSERTA that needed to be removed in order for this project to be developed. So the this property was taken out of the Teserta overlay zone. The restrictive covenants of Teserta were removed, and then there was a lease agreement covering Teserta, and this property was taken out of that lease. So those county obligations were addressed. Now Ashley Capital has certain obligations that they have to meet under the option agreement. And this is the first of those, the future land use amendment to MXD. Then, as Leslie mentioned, we'll be coming back to you for a zoning change to PNRD, and there's a PNRD master plan that will be a part of that. And also, as with most PNRDs, there are conditions of approval and details about the development that are laid out in that PNRD document to ensure that you guys are getting what you want to get out of the project, as well as making sure that Ashley Capital is able to build what they want to build there. Pursuant to the option agreement, Ashley Capital has to make payments periodically every 6 months to the county. So they are motivated to try to get through the process as quickly as possible and close on it, and we're very eager to do that. Tonight's the first step, the future land use amendment. We have the PNRD in process. We submitted our application, I believe, in October of last year, and it's going through the county review process. And we're hopeful that we'll be taking that to P&Z and then bringing the PNRD to you later this year in a few months. Once we get to that stage and the PNRD approval is approved, then Ashley Capital is able to exercise on their option under the agreement, and then it basically becomes a typical real estate transaction where we close, pay the county the purchase price, and Ashley Capital is conveyed the land, and then from there they're able to move forward with obtaining building permits and the various approvals that they need in order to begin turning dirt and building the project. So that's kind of the big picture on the option agreement and where we are in the next steps. And with that, we're here to answer any questions you may have.
Excellent, thank you. Any questions of the applicant before I open it up for public comment?
No, ma'am.
I have some questions, but I'll wait for after public comment.
You got it. Okay.
All right, thank you.
We're going to wait after public comment, and then we'll have some questions for you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, thank you. So at this time, this is a public hearing item. Anyone from the public wishing to address us on this matter, you would come up to the podium, give us your first and last name, and you would have 3 minutes. Seeing no movement, I'm going to close public comment, come back to the board. Commissioner Clasby, I'll start with you.
Yeah, Madam Chair, for the applicant, maybe Leslie could help answer a couple questions. Just as a history lesson for me, because I wasn't here in 22 on the board, could you just elaborate a little bit more for me? This was a county property, and there was an RFP, and you guys won the RFP. Part of that RFP was, this was part of your proposal, you were going to do this, is that right?
Yes, so the county issued an RFP for proposals to develop this site as a Class A industrial commerce park. And so we responded to that and said, we're good at this, we'd like to do it. And it basically laid out all of these steps, as Lee Dobbins just mentioned, of the steps we will have to go through. Some of them the county has had to do and has already done, and others we have to do. And as Lee mentioned, we have this option agreement, and then we have to make payments as we go through the steps. And we are trying to proceed through them as quickly as possible, because it's great when this closes, and the agreement is that once we get the entitlements, then we close.
Okay, I'm just trying to get to the county was aware what you guys were going to be proposing eventually, and it was pretty much a unanimous vote at that time?
Yes, sir. We responded to the RFP with this proposal.
Okay. Another question I have, just a example of what type of business would be in a park like this?
Ryan, Jill? I'm not the best person to answer that question.
That's our favorite question. What are we doing? just to put in context what we're building, the Commerce Park will be built of multiple buildings, anywhere from about 50,000 square feet to a little over 200,000 square feet. And so the goal of the facilities are to be flexible. The minimum size will be 5,000 square foot units, so they're earmarked for small to mid-size missing middle industrial product in the marketplace. And so we look at a couple of different tenant profiles. One tenant profile is working with the St. Lucie EDC, which is your economic development firm, which aligns with the state of Florida. So we look at those targeted industries and we look at our clusters in the region: manufacturing, aviation, marine, agroceuticals, agriculture, professional services, and trades. Those are sort of the dynamos of the listing. And then secondarily, we'll look at the existing businesses within the region and those that are looking to come up that need either new space, expanding space, or higher quality space. So a lot of space in the county is older. And so when businesses or you're trying to attract manufacturers, they do not have the infrastructure needed with the higher ESFR fire sprinkler systems, the lay down, the outdoor storage. So we try to align ourselves in that way, but to be honest, I mean, the region has 97% of businesses that have under 20 employees. So we're going to be focusing on those folks that are looking for somewhere to expand and grow. We're looking for folks that want to make a commitment to the region and create high quality paying jobs. And that term can be used a lot of different ways, but the goal is that every resident has an opportunity to work local, bring some of those 70,000 people that are leaving every day back to St. Lucie County. And we also think that, you know, when we get a tenant, we want them to be our tenant for life, right? Because we hold our product and we want to have the flexibility that we can accommodate any of their business needs. And Ashley Capital actually prides themselves on that we try our very best to accommodate and keep our tenants long-term.
And so I want to preface this part is, because I've had some communication with you guys, and you've educated me as to what your product is and, you know, how you're different. But just for the public viewing, could you tell me how the Ashley Capital Pruitt Commerce Center, you know, differs from, say, the space on like Kings and Orange Avenue as far as, you know, the operations and that sort of thing?
So there's a couple of different industrial development models. Some models are what's called merchant builders, where developers will come in, they'll either spec out a building or they'll have a tenant in tow, and then that building may be sold at a cap rate to a hedge fund or a REIT or an equity partner. And that's just one model of industrial development. What separates Ashley Capital from a lot in the region is that we are a privately held industrial real estate development firm. We have two principals, and we are not a REIT, we are not a hedge fund, we're not an equity partner. And so these are legacy projects, particularly the Pruitt Commerce Center is a legacy project. There is a next gen in both of those principles that are involved in the business. And so we are here, we take underperforming assets, we entitle the assets for its highest and best use, which is why we're here today. We will then develop the product to a Class A standard. Looking forward 20 years, so when we talk about fire sprinklers or parking or any of those other needs within a commerce park, we're not looking at what we need today. We're looking at, well, how are we going to meet the needs in 20 years so that this facility will always be productive for the community. And then internally, we will lease the facilities with brokers and agents and others within the community and the EDC. And then we will property manage. We actually property manage in-house. That is an Ashley standard. So we're a one-stop shop for industrial development. There are others in nationwide, but we are highly regarded in our skill sets.
Okay, and then just one last question here for now, and probably a planning question. Would this site be annexed into the city of Fort Pierce, and at what point might that happen, and who services utilities there?
I'll take the question on annexation. So there was an amendment to the agreement between the county and the city of Fort Pierce that was penned the year before last, I believe, where the city got the ability to annex the properties in this area, and in return did not have the ability to annex at the airport. So this is within that area where the city has the ability to annex. we were a little bit concerned about that on our end because we're doing a project which has multiple buildings and multiple phases, and we were concerned that we get it approved and then like the next day it gets annexed by the city, or worse still, maybe we build 1 or 2 buildings and then it gets annexed by the city, and now we're under the city's rules, and we have, you know, an approved project in the county, but now we're under city rules and we have to deal with that when we go to pull building permits. So we went and met with the city last year, had a couple of meetings with staff, meetings with the city commissioners, and they don't want to do anything to slow us down, and so they were very accommodating and entered into an annexation agreement with Ashley Capital that allows for the phasing of annexation. So as we build buildings and get them, you know, through the construction process and CO'd, they will then annex them rather than annexing it all at once as they could under their existing agreement with the county.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I think the second part of Commissioner Clady's question was who serves utilities in its FPUA service territory. And as a standard practice of FPUA anyway, when you achieve service, they give you a annexation clause inside of their service agreements that I think allows them up to within 10 years do it anyway. So with that, we were able to at least get some leverage on the airport, which was beneficial to the county.
Any other questions, Commissioner?
Not at this time.
No? Okay. So all really good questions that put all the information out there for residents. I'm just going to kind of put it all together. And so to your point, this is something that started even before I was here. Now, I was lucky enough to come on at the RFP process. So very familiar with the long process that it has been. It's been a very long collaborative process on both parts. But you know, this was an area, the county had a vision. The vision wasn't working as planned, so we pivoted, then rolled into that RFP. Ashley Capital was the only respondent. So yes, this agenda item this evening is contractually something they have to do as part of the RFP per a contract with the county. And this is just transmittal. This is going to the state. This way, all the different state agencies, FDOT, Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, all the water districts, all the different agencies, FDOT, can comment on it, and that just, again, makes that project that much better as everyone weighs in on it. I really appreciate, again, I've worked with a lot of developers since I've been on, and one thing that I can say about Ashley Capital, you came up when I was in Tallahassee the other week. Someone brought up the Pruitt Commerce Center that lives in the vicinity of it, and I assured them one of the biggest advantages to Ashley Capital is the fact that you do retain your holdings, right? So you care what that product is. You're not building it and selling it and letting it go. And I think that product model just makes for a much better project at the end. So, yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I'm glad we got to this step. And with that, is there any other comments from commissioners?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Lee?
I too was here at the beginning of this, and if you look at St. Lucie County, 30 years ago we were nothing but citrus groves and fishing, and when that died because of canker and greening, we have all of these empty groves and basically a county that was dying on the vine. Fortunately, the county brought in the Economic Development Council and has stirred the pot and gotten us back up on our feet. And what they did is they brought in a consultant to look at the area and go, what can this be? And the consultant said, with the interchanges of the two highway systems coming down here, you guys will be a great distribution center for South Florida and yourselves, since everything is growing. 30 years later, here we are. Now our next step is to try to bring up more economic development within the county with all the empty citrus groves, and this with our airport expansion and things we're doing in the northern part of the county is well needed, and I think it's going to be a great asset. Thank you.
Madam Chair, just a quick comment. Kind of want to echo what Commissioner Leet said. I know this is a long time coming, and I have to commend Ashley Capital for being so thorough and well-researched. We've met several times this year, and I'm really excited to see this get moving forward. So hopefully it's a congratulations tonight.
Well, with that, it sounds, would you like to make the motion?
Madam
Commissioner?
Chair, real quick, I just wanted to, I asked a question before, but I looked it up while I was here. The RFP 22092, it was a 5-0 vote. Commissioner Townsend's not here this evening, so I just was interested to see how she voted on that. She voted for it, so I would make a motion to approve this evening.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we go into our text amendment for fencing. Evening, Ben.
All right. Good evening, Chair Fowler and Commissioners. For the record, Ben Balser, Planning and Development Services Director. Tonight I'm presenting Agenda Item 10A2, which is a county-initiated Land Development Code text amendment that, if adopted, would expand the allowable fence materials in certain residential zoning districts when certain criteria are met. This item was properly advertised in the St. Lucie News Tribune on Friday, January 21st. And the purpose of this text amendment is to address specific residential properties that have run into code compliance and permitting issues following the recent amendments to residential fence material regulations that were adopted by the Board of County Commissioners. The text amendment would allow residential properties located within the Residential Estate 1, Residential Estate 2, Residential Conservation, Residential Single Family 2, Residential Single Family 3, and Residential Single Family 4, Residential Mobile Home 5, and Residential Multifamily 5 zoning districts to construct a fence using cattle wire, chicken wire, or similar materials, provided that the lot is greater than 1 acre. It contains a permitted dwelling unit and is located on an unpaved, privately maintained road. For background, in 2023, the board updated the county's residential fence regulations prohibiting the use of cattle wire, chicken wire, and barbed wire within all residential zoning districts, except for the agricultural residential 1 zoning district. The intent at the time was to improve aesthetics and ensure consistency in residential neighborhoods. In 2024, the board revisited these regulations and adopted a narrow exception, allowing residential properties adjacent to local, state, or federal preserve areas with existing cattle or chicken wire fences to install a similar fence within their rear and side yard. This change was intended to recognize existing development patterns near the preserved lands and maintain consistency in fence material types. The proposed amendment before you tonight, it further refines the county's policy and is limited to large residential properties on unpaved, unmaintained private roads where traditional fence materials may not be consistent with the area's rural character. The proposal does not apply to smaller residential lots on paved roads, or unoccupied residential lots. Staff believes that the draft criteria is sufficiently narrow to avoid any unintended impacts to the surrounding residents. Importantly, all other fence regulations, including height and placement, remain unchanged. The amendment only adds flexibility in material and only under very specific circumstances. The county's Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously voted to recommend approval at their January 15th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Their motion included language that would allow a single strand of barbed wire at the top of the fence for property owners who keep non-domestic animals. Staff determined that this addition was not warranted, as these residential zoning districts do not permit non-domestic animals. The Planning and Zoning Commission also recommended adding a requirement for building permit applications to include a survey identifying the location of the proposed fence to reduce the potential for owners to block private access easements. Currently, signed and sealed surveys are required for building permits with a valuation exceeding $10,000. In response to the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation, staff has added language that would require any building permit submitted pursuant to this Land Development Code section to include a survey depicting the location of the proposed fence. and that's highlighted for you on the screen. The proposed amendment is compatible with the existing rural residential development patterns in the areas where this regulation would apply and maintains the overall intent of the county's residential fencing standards. Therefore, staff recommends the board vote to schedule the second reading to adopt the proposed ordinance for the February 17th, 2026 Board of County Commissioners meeting. It starts at 6 p.m. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Ben. Any questions? This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the board on this item? Seeing no movement, close public comment, come back to the board. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thank you, Ben. That concludes our public hearings, and we move to our regular agenda for the airport.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. The item brought before you tonight is Resolution 2026-21 to provide consent to the purchase and sale agreement resulting in a change of control for APP, the major leaseholder, and FBO, which is fixed base operator at the airport. Before I get into some of the details, I just want to acknowledge that Dan Harrow from APP and some leadership from Bain Capital is in the audience tonight. And this was a lot of work to get put together to get to this evening for you, and I just want to recognize that couldn't have got done without County Attorney Catherine Barbieri, Assistant County Attorney Gene Stacio, well, I probably messed up her spelling of her last name or saying it, Deputy County Administrator Maite Santa Maria, and of course our one and only Airport Director Cameron Howard, who's here for any tough questions after I get done with this part of it and things. So without all their efforts and Dan's efforts from APP today, we wouldn't have made it. The buyer of APP is BC Flex Midco LLC, which is an affiliate of Bain Capital Real Estate. Representatives from Bain Capital have indicated that they are in the process of establishing a leading general aviation platform, including FBOs and aviation infrastructure and assets across the U.S. Bain Capital Real Estate plans concerning APP is to invest capital to enhance existing hangars, develop additional hangars, and improve FBO infrastructure across the APP business. Resolution 2026-21 details the existing leases the county has with APP, and those leases require written consent from the county before assigning or subleasing any portion of leased premises. The lease resolution includes the lessor's consent, which is your consent, as Exhibit 1, and it also includes a cure of designated deficiencies with a action plan to address 4 items, which are all detailed within the agenda item and the backup. But just to paraphrase some of them is there's some derelict aircraft that we're working through. There's a capital plan to address some additional fuel storage. There's a FOD, or foreign object debris, due to some apron issues and some inspections and cleanup out there. And then there's ensuring the subtenant completes the repairs of the hangar we're all familiar with at 3780 St. Lucie Boulevard. So just to bring some context to this, this was a similar thing that happened in 2021 that came before the board when the current overseer of APP, which was Ridgewood Infrastructure LLC, they acquired it from a previous owner in 2021, and we went through the same process to where it would come forth to you on a regular item. There's always some cleanup stuff that has to get done, so an action plan was created back then, and then obviously we're doing one this time as well to make sure that we fulfill any of the remaining issues that we have there that way. So with all of that, staff is recommending that the board adopt Resolution 2026-21 consenting to the merger of APP Properties, Inc. into an affiliate of BC Flex Midco LLC, an affiliate of Bain Capital Real Estate, and resulting in change of control of the Fort Pierce FBO LLC, and authorize the chair to sign the lessor's consent to the merger as approved by the county attorney. And staff is available, and Dan and his team's available for any questions from the board, although this isn't a public hearing, but we're here in case we have any comments or questions from the board.
Perfect. Thank you, George. Questions, comments? No? Okay. Would someone like to entertain a motion?
I have a quick comment.
Go for it.
I think that this is a great example of why we have a great administration here and a great attorney to think out of the box and go ahead and add these conditions to the transfer. Motion for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. And with that, commissioner comments. Commissioner Gillespie?
So, pretty much, I left the EDC lunch today, and there's been a lot of talk about Fort Pierce South Beach. I'm not sure if people have been reaching out to the rest of the commissioners or not, but I've been on and off the phone all day today, and I believe that at this point we should direct staff to seek an emergency truck haul for Fort Pierce South Beach. I've been out there numerous times. It's reached the point where we really need to do something. I've got the latest update from Josh, and it's not going to be till at least March till we get the federal project going out there. And I think that we should authorize the county administrator to go ahead and get a stopgap measure to shore up the beach before it gets worse and ends up on Seaway Drive or A1A.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I was part of an email thread for last 2 days, and with having conversations, that's exactly what I was going to see if we could do in the meantime. I get it's like putting a Band-Aid on a waterfall, but if there's something we can do, we need to do it to try to prevent the loss of property and infrastructure.
And just to kind of, yes, it's a Band-Aid. However, in my discussions with Mr. Revord, basically we're going to have to do a small truck haul anyways prior to the federal project, most likely, to have a landing strip, because if you go out there today, the beach is not there. So I really think it's very important that we would do that. And what do we need? Commissioner Fowler and I are in favor of it. Do we need to do anything specifically?
No,
we need at least another.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Commissioners, basically because this wasn't an item that was formally put on the agenda and went through that process, just hearing the concern that you have, we'll do similar to what we did in 2025, is where I have the ability to issue an emergency order, and then we'll bring it back on the 17th for board for an after the fact approval. Catherine can go into some more detail, but this is something that we've done before, and we can do this, but hearing the will of the board makes it easier, but we still have to ratify it.
Catherine Barbieri, County Attorney, that's correct. We'll bring it back to you as the erosion district, though, so on the 17th. If it's not regularly scheduled, then we will notice it to have a meeting that date.
And I would add further that, all, available means ASAP. Like if we can get something going tomorrow, I would be in favor of that as well. I'm not sure. I know Josh Revord had said that could be a week lead time, but if there's any stopgap measures that can even be done between then, we should explore them.
Absolutely.
So, Madam Chair, Commissioners, we already started working towards, Josh has obtained some quotes from the sand hauler, as well as he knows he's got to go through some process with DEP. So obviously, as a result of this evening, he's already starting to work on those things, and we'll keep the board updated informally, throughout as the days that go. But the fastest that he can get the sand out there is what he'll work towards to get it out. And I have a feeling that he's thinking something like possibly by next Tuesday if all things align, or sooner if it can happen sooner. But that's sort of what he's getting the feedback from right now, to get all the ducks in a row by starting today. But if it can happen sooner, we will. But we will keep the board updated on a regular basis.
And one more thing, if you entertain.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're at the beginning of the year. I've had one full year to deal with our county administrator, and I say that in a positive light because it's been a really good experience in my opinion. And I don't want to get too in depth with this, because I would like to have a formal review of our county administrator at the next meeting. I think it's the 17th. And I would love to hear everybody's input on that. If we could have that added to the next meeting, just to have a performance review, and maybe make that an annual thing. And then maybe a year from now we do it for our new county attorney as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, I think it is already built into the contract for I always call you commissioner, for county administrator Landry. I think the review is built in, right? Or it's up to our discretion.
County Attorney Catherine Barbieri, I think it was up to your discretion, so I can add it to the agenda if that's the board's consensus or desire.
And Madam Chair, just for the public's knowledge on this sand emergency, the sand has eroded up to the dune, and it is potentially going to affect some properties. Josh, I had a long conversation. I believe he's talked to just about everybody up here. But that being said, he has indicated that this is basically sacrifice sand. We are dumping it, it's washing it out, but it's preventing the dune from eroding away. It does come at a substantial cost, which we are willing to do. But that being said, along with Commissioner Claspy's comment that the Corps has asked us to build a platform so that they can work off, so we actually have to do this anyway. We just may be adding a few more loads of sand in hopes that it won't destroy any properties out there. So I am for this if you're looking for 3.
Madam Chair. Add a fourth. Yep, supporting both of your ideas, Commissioner Claspy. I think they're both great. Our beaches are a huge expense when we have to do this, but it's worth every penny of it because we need to preserve our, our beaches. It's a huge part of tourism, and I haven't been out there in months, but it was pretty rough looking when I was there maybe 2 months ago, so I can't imagine what it is now. So absolutely, let's get it done as soon as we can.
One other thing in regards to that, I've been in communication with our counterparts at the City of Fort Pierce, Commissioner Broderick, Mayor Hudson, and they're working to potentially close the beach to public access. That way, the sand that's put out there isn't trampled over. And waves are one thing, but you have people out there is a whole other thing too. And it's a bit of a liability, I would think, at this point too. So.
All right, thank you. Any other comments?
Come in.
All right.
I'm at
I'm gonna throw myself under the bus here. So, Catherine brought up that the agenda item didn't get updated with the new action plan for APP. It has an old action plan that was in there that we started, but today we revised it, and the revision didn't make it to this item. I thought it did, but it didn't, so I read off some stuff that is not there. The action plan that you all have seen, the one that you have in your hands, is the right one, but it didn't make it to the agenda packet. So I just want to see if the board would indulge to make sure that for APP's protection and for ours, that there is a changed action plan. We'll have it updated into the thing, but the difference in that action plan is when it talks about inside the fuel part, there's a section that talks about a diesel fuel tank, and that was not part of the action plan as far as that goes. And the second item, Catherine can share with you what it was that was not, that we struck from that. And we just want to go back
Catherine
to
Barbieri, County Attorney. The 2 action items that are going to be worked on are the ones that we had declared to have some issues with, which are the airplanes and the hangar at 3780. The fuel was, after further discussions today, removed, and the apron, Cameron would have to discuss that, but that also at this point was removed for now. So it is the airplanes and the 3780 St. Lucie Boulevard. And so if we want to make sure that you understand what you are voting on as the cure plan.
Okay, so number 2, all the items pertaining to fuel storage are struck. Is that correct?
That is my understanding, yes.
Yep. So the fuel standards, according to the lease and minimum standards, current leases are currently exempt from any amendments to the minimum standards. So APP would be exempt from the addition to the fuel tanks on that. The other item, which was pavement, we came to an understanding on it, so they are going to work on it. Some of the wording that we had in the original action plan that Mr. Landry read off was changed. So there is some pavement work being done, but not to the extent that was presented earlier. So.
Madam Chair?
Can we can we get a cleaned up version? Because here's my concern is there's been action items going on for years and years and years, and I don't think that this current board is going to allow it, and so I think it needs to be very clear what the expectation is.
We'll have it moved over, and then we'll pop it up on the screen.
Okay.
Send it to Sydney and you. I don't know. what I.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Crosby, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Just to get clarification, what we voted on this evening was what Administrator Landry read into the record. Is that accurate?
I'm asking you to reconsider because of the fuel storage part on my original notes was from earlier today, and then when it was stricken off and we updated the agenda item, I did not cross it off my notes and read it into the record. Dan was gracious to understand that we have a different agreement, but we want to just make sure it's in the open and clear for the board and for everybody to see. So there's the item that's going to be popping up on your screen before you that shows the guts of the consent is the same minus a couple items in the action plan, and as camera can scroll down to the action plan, that way you can see what we're asking the board to consider. And based on that, and what Cameron's trying to explain is when we updated the minimum standards that the action plan, the draft action plan that was originally proposed to them had the new standards is if a new FBO were to come into the airport. Inside the minimum standards, there's some language in there that says the existing tenant is exempt from it. Doesn't mean that they can't go do it on their own. Obviously, if they have more customers than they have current fuel supply, they're going to expand their fuel to meet that because they're not going to want to share, so to say. So they're just exempt from us holding that as a condition for this process. And then when it got into the apron, there are some pieces of concrete within their leasehold that they have to fix, which they acknowledge that they would fix and do so, but the way it kind of read was if understanding correctly, it might have been identifying the entire parcel, which then was some confusion of what was what. So Cameron and Dan and the Bain team worked out whatever they were going to do to monitor that part and fix it at the airport level. So we were comfortable with those. So basically the goal is the derelict aircraft that's on items 1, and then the 3780, which was something that was in the existing agreement, the existing action plan from 2021. But as you're aware, that tenant has been removed, and they have applied for permits and received some permits from the county to do the repairs on there. So they are moving accurately forward on that. Cameron can speak to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so 3780 is working. The current tenant's removing the unpermitted work, and it's moving in the right direction. So we're monitoring closely to make sure that they're actually getting the right permits and cleaning it up the way that they want. The former tenant is still working on removing some of the ramp side derelict aircraft that they lay claim to. So we're letting them in and making sure that they remove that. And then the other derelict aircraft that are in item number 1, APP has acknowledged, and they are working with the current owners to communicate and get those out.
So in a nutshell, there was an argument made that we really couldn't legally ask them to do the minimum standard. We could ask, but we couldn't enforce the minimum standard on the fuel part with them based on the language that was in our policy. The apron part is more of we're going to rely on our airport director and the team to come up and do it. And Dan can provide some context if the board would be willing to indulge him from APP just to give you his on-the-record commitment.
For me, I mean, personally, I'm not sure everyone else, I understand the fuel part's been taken out, but what about all of item number 3? It's the foreign object debris, all of those things, all of that has been removed as well?
May I just give, sorry.
Absolutely, go ahead, good evening.
Do I have to give you,
Nope.
Thank you everyone. Do I have to do it?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. So I wanted to give some context on all of this. First off, I just want to say thank you to the administration staff, to Cameron, to the county attorney staff, because everybody worked really very, very hard on a very short time schedule to get this action plan in front of the commissioners today. And so I think a lot of the confusion is stemming from the fact that in order to get something on the agenda, they put this action plan in front of you today before we even had a chance to see it. And so when we then had a discussion with them, for instance, about the fuel part, which wasn't, we said, oh, hey, there's a part of the minimum standards that says it doesn't apply to us, and the county attorney agreed. We then removed it. But unfortunately, what was read at the meeting tonight, because this was agreed to an hour before the meeting. It was that close. unfortunately, that got read, and now we're having a very confusing discussion about what was actually in front of you. So it was always intended, from what APP and what from Bain had seen, to be the action plan that is now up on the screen. And that what really goes back to is there was a dialogue between us and the county about certain issues with the lease, and that which Bain was aware of, and that we said, hey, we're going to take care of this. And so going into the transaction said, hey, we know we have to take care of this. We know that the county is going to want to make sure that Bain takes care of this going forward as well. And so we're happy to provide assurances to this as well. To the extent that there is a paving issue, this was the first time it was brought up to us basically today. We are required to maintain our lease in good standard under the lease. And we said we are happy to, in a separate section of this consent, and it's section 3C, promise to maintain the ramps in good condition. But the action plan is held to a different legal standard, and so we moved it out of the action plan and into section 3C, where Bain covenants to maintain the lease and the ramps in good condition, specifically those areas identified in that map. So there's still those promises in there, but we needed a chance to discuss with the county administration, with the county attorney, and with the with Cameron before it got to you. And unfortunately, it just so happened that it all happened at the last second, so the wrong version was put to you in front of the meeting. So I hope that gives you some context.
So under the action plan for number 3 for the pavement plan, are any of the inspections that we're requiring, or is that built in at all? How originally, in terms of what's attached here, we asked for them to implement measures to collect the FOD, develop a written pavement maintenance plan. We've given them timeframes. Is all of that now scrapped?
It was shortened down, and Cameron and Assistant County Attorney Jean can do it. It was shortened down to that section C that's before you on the item that talks about Fort Pierce FBO will agree to maintain the ramps in accordance with the leasehold in in Exhibit B, and then the parcels that are graded as poor and lower in an attached map, and those were where Cameron identified those pieces of the apron to be cleaned up, but they can provide some more context.
May I have your name?
Sir.
Oh, sorry.
For the
Dan Harrow.
Thank you.
H-A-R-R-O.
Cameron, if you want to provide any.
Yep. So the pavement got reduced down to item C, which is highlighted on the screen. And the reason for that is the FDOT pavement inspection map that you may or may not have seen is taken out of samples on the ramps. So it may be that they sampled a corner of the map or the ramp that was in poor condition, but the rest of it is fair. And so to be fair to APP and to be more realistic, we reduced it down to maintaining the ramps in good condition based off of the map. So we referenced the map, we're still using the map, we're just not holding them to that standard where they have to replace the whole section of the airport based off of one sample.
Okay. Sorry, guys, you're going to have to give us a second.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Lee.
can you go over, I didn't understand the fuel portion of it. The rest of it I understand, but I didn't catch the fuel portion that was
So
in the
the
beginning.
new minimum standards that was adopted last year going forward for the airport has that there has to be, I believe, 2 20,000-gallon fuel tanks with a fuel farm and 1 10,000-gallon diesel tank with the fuel farm. So obviously at the current rate of fuel, we're not experiencing today a fuel issue at the airport. That's obviously built for future as we grow. But was in that language in there was part of the policy was that the board adopted when we did this, is that the current leaseholder didn't have to conform to that, which meant if the board approved it tomorrow, then they'd be out of compliance and we could go, and that wasn't fair to them. Obviously, it's in their business model to they make more of their money probably selling fuel, so it's in their business model to expand that when deemed necessary. And then obviously, if they don't choose to and another FBO comes in, they have to follow that standard and bring that. They're going to build a fuel farm to that level that way, and then that's going to be a rival competition for them. So because of that piece of language, it was like a technicality on whether we could enforce that as this action plan or not. So, you know, it's kind of, it's one of those that it's on them. If they don't want to expand their fuel point and we bring other fuel in, then they're just going to lose out on the fuel sale. So again, we apologize for that confusion that way.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Lee.
for what it's worth, I have no problems with the changes. I don't know what we have to do procedurally here, but I'll let the other commissioners speak for themselves.
Madam Chair, I'm also in favor of the modifications and would ask the county attorney what we need to do to proceed.
County Attorney Catherine Barbieri, if the motion maker or the second would rescind the previous motion, and then if we would have a vote call on it, and if that passes, then we would have a motion to approve this.
All right, so who was the motioner? Do we recall?
Motion to,
No, we need the initial. Who was the motioner and the seconder for item 11A1?
Commissioner Clasby motioned.
I motion to rescind my motion.
And I think Lee did.
Lee second.
Is you
Yes.
did the second? Okay.
and I rescind my second.
All right. Would you like to restate your motion, Commissioner Clasby?
I think you got to
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I
All
appreciate
right.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now you have to move forward with a new motion.
I'd like to motion for approval with the amendments as previously stated.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
So, Madam Chair, Commissioners, we wanted to make sure you get the full experience of what it is in a short meeting. So, you know, I will gladly take my lashings for the confusion.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other commissioner comments? No? All right. George, upcoming meetings.
The Boulder County Commissioners will hold an informal meeting on Tuesday, February 10th, 2026 at 9 a.m. here in these commission chambers. And the Boulder County Commissioners will hold a regular meeting on Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 at 6 p.m. here in these commission chambers located at 2300 Virginia Avenue here in Fort Pierce. And Eric will close us out with the last two announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Landry. The New York Mets will kick off their spring training season at Clover Park against the Miami Marlins on Saturday, February 21st. The Mets will play 15 home games in Port St. Lucie against regular rivals such as the Astros, Cardinals, Nationals, Yankees, and Blue Jays. The Mets will also host World Baseball Classic teams including Team Nicaragua and Team Israel. For the full schedule and ticket prices, please visit www.stluciemets.com. The 60th annual St. Lucie County Fair takes place Friday, February 27th through Sunday, March 8th at the fairgrounds located at 15601 Midway Road in Fort Pierce. Don't miss live music, magic and illusions, rides, live animals, games, fair food, the demolition derby, the rodeo, and more. For details and tickets, visit stluciecountyfair.org.
All right. Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.